Hey everybody, welcome to round 7 in North America, Montreal, Canada. This is the I Am No Expert series following the career mode in F1 2011 here in Season 1 and coming off a 8th place finish in Monaco, which was a surprise to me. And this is my first race in Montreal using no brake line, manual gears, and cockpit view. I hold the Montreal circuit very dear. It's the first race that I won in this series dating back to F1 2010. You can see my team objective is to finish 7th. Taking a look at the starting grid, on pole position we've got Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber right behind, Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari in 3rd, and again I qualified P10. And my teammate Adrian Sutil qualified 18th, not great. And the bottom part of the grid made up of the usual suspects. Taking a look at our setup now. And you know, I was actually tempted to run the default quick menu or quick setup from the engineer menu, which is what I've traditionally used on this track. I haven't needed a setup, but I thought I'd go ahead and try one out. Why not? See if it made any difference. And it's fair to wonder if my setup was part of the reason that I only qualified 10th. And again, I'm just speculating that I should have qualified higher. I typically do on this track. But also because I'm changing the view using cockpit view, the circuit definitely is different using cockpit view. I was a little ambushed by that. Has a lot to do with breakpoints changing and subtle elevation changes and just these little things that you don't really notice about it when you're running TV pod or third-person view. And you may have noticed my starting tires are at 91%. Even though I did qualify 10th, that was actually partially a decision that I made. And that was based on barely getting into Q3 and deciding to save my tires. So I did not actually go out on a run in Q3 knowing that there was pretty much no way I was going to get higher than 10th. So let's see if I can make up for it at the start of the race. Very, very good start competing with Heidfeld, and slight contact there with Schumacher, but there doesn't seem to be any damage. Slicing my way through to get up to P6. See if I'm able to hold that. Now competing with Hamilton into the first chicane. And able to let him go by and stay right behind him, and very, very tight through here. I should be able to get him up at this next corner. And also on the inside of Jenson Button, just go over the curb there. There is an extended curb there, but looks like no warning from the steward, so apparently that was a legal move. That did seem a little close to me, but I'm not going to complain as I settle in P4 here, now chasing Alonso. And we'll be seeing a lot of that corner as the race goes on, unfortunately for me. But for now, trying to stay with Alonso and stay ahead of Button here at the hairpin. And we'll see what kind of speed difference we're talking about. Now you can see the Ferrari is just shooting way out in front here along the straight. So going to have a hard time catching him. But P4, that's very good. If I can maintain that until I pit, I should have a good chance of finishing in the top 10 at least here. Very bumpy coming over the last curb there. No warning from the stewards. Button thought about it there, but I'm able to stay ahead. And there we have it, the end of lap 1, riding 1.6 seconds behind Alonso, which I'm sure will increase. Still competing with Button here, skipping ahead to lap 3. And as I mentioned earlier, I had a lot of problems with this corner up here. As you can see here, I'm going to go a little bit wide, and that's going to give Button an opportunity on the inside. Let's see if he's able to get around. Yes, he is able to get around. Now trying to stay with him, see if we can ride up to the chicane and pull ahead. I can look to the hairpin if this doesn't work. Stay on the inside, no contact made, clean overtake, and back up into P4, so that's a big relief. And of course we're only 3 laps in, so plenty of time for things to go wrong, but generally don't have too many problems on Montreal. But again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are times when the circuit looks a little different with this view. Still not something I'm totally used to. So taking us to the end of lap 6 in for my pit stop here, let's see how the team does. I like to shoot for under 4.5, and that's totally blown. What happened here? Looks like, oh, I see. I believe that Schumacher, yes, Schumacher was able to get out in front of me, unfortunately. It would be kind of cool if you could race with other cars coming out of the pit lane. That would be fun. So, able to rejoin in 10th position. It looks like I'm racing with Schumacher now, and Button is still behind me, so that might be a factor later. I'm not sure who has not gone into pit yet, but I'm sure that there's at least a few people ahead of me. And this is when lap times start playing themselves out in terms of really seeing what the pace of the car is at this point. And because I usually race well at Montreal, this is sort of my unofficial benchmark in terms of where the pace of the car is at. I do not recall my engineer mentioning anything about upgrades recently, so hopefully that'll kick in a race or two, although I think I am still the number 2 driver behind Sutil. And late braking here, that's going to give Button an opportunity. Oh, contact with the wall, no damage done to the wheel, but Button is able to swing around on the inside and take P10 from me. So now it becomes a question if I can stick with the McLaren along the long straightaway. You might have just heard my DRS being activated. I am using it now and should be able to get him, but a brake late and cutting off the chicane. Button and I don't make contact. No warning from the stewards. I did brake late. That was a pretty aggressive move. Pretty much somewhat of a mistake. But in the end, right now, no harm done. I am able to get up into P7 with a round of pit stops here. So here in lap 8, should have an opportunity to make even more ground possibly. So let's take a look at our fastest lap here, or this is the end of lap 9, and you can see I have the same problem with Kobayashi at the same hairpin, but the Sauber not quite as quick as the McLaren, and I am not giving Kobayashi very much room. He would have had a chance on the outside if he would have gone for it, but I just kind of wanted to close off that side of the track. So handling this chicane much better now, and this is actually the start of the fastest lap of the race. Now trying to fend off Kobayashi, my best friend from Spain. And you can see my gap to Schumacher now is just over 7.5 seconds, on top of the fact that he just set the fastest lap, so P4 is pretty much a broken dream at this point. It's too bad I couldn't beat Schumacher out of the pits. I might be there right now fending him off versus the Sauber, but for now, I'm going to have to just stay ahead of Kobayashi, only have a handful of laps to go here. And right now feeling relatively confident that I can maintain this 5th position. Let's hope. And just like the AI have slow corners, I have slow corners, and that chicane is usually where the AI has an opportunity to get around me. Still kind of a hard breaking point for me. Haven't mastered it, something I'm going to have to work on in the winter after the season. Translation, time trials. And now it's time to see if we have better straight line speed than the Sauber. I was able to catch Button earlier, but the McLaren has also been catching up with me, so looks to be now I have extended my lead over Kobayashi, which is good news as long as I don't goof this chicane again. Pretty clean there, and so able to maintain a P5 position here with about 4 laps to go. And again, that would end up being my fastest lap of the race, just over a 1:14.5. And if there's one part of the track that you would expect me to have problems with, which do you think it would be? If you guessed this corner, you would be right. There goes Kobayashi swinging around me on the inside there. And this is just about my last opportunity to keep P5 if I can. You remember that I had a little close call with Button at that chicane before. I think better of it this time, learned from my mistakes. And now, even though I'm back a ways, let's see if I can take advantage of the braking point. Yes, get ahead of him. And able to get around. So again, let's see if we can stay ahead of the Sauber here, and I can see that it looks like we will be able to because I'm just about at the end of lap 12. I've got 2 laps to go. I will continue to run the high fuel mix for the rest of the race to stay ahead. So despite my hopes of being able to win this race, I knew that qualifying 10th meant there was virtually no way that was going to happen, so I'm going to have to settle for P5, but that is my best result of the season so far. So depending on how Adrian is doing, that will tell us just how well the team and the car is doing. Expectations are mounting, and heading into the European season, this will be my opportunity to really make up some ground and maybe push for the title, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, let's take a quick look at the final results here. Weber winning the race, there I am at P5, and Adrian Sutil up to P12, so the Force India car is improving. And wow, looks like Button and McLaren had significant problems, finishing all the way down in 16th and 17th, so that's a surprise of the race. And it looks like Buemi and Petrov were the only DNFs for the race. So that's going to do it for this episode of I Am No Expert. Going to leave you here with some highlights as usual. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope that you're enjoying this series. If you have any comments or feedbacks for future videos, feel free to leave me a comment below. And also feel free to check out my channel for more gameplay videos, including more F1 2011 videos, as well as Forza 4, Grid, and the Dirt series. And as for the next episode, we'll be going back across the pond, back to Spain, for the site of the European Grand Prix in Valencia. And I have no idea how well I'll perform there. I usually have mixed results, so we're going to have to wait and see. So until then, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.